Good morning, everyone, and let's begin our history class. Can you see the screen sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So last time we finished off Shah Jahan's his conquest, his working for the various aspects which were to be in the Deccan first, and then he went on for the Northwest policy, the Kandahar. He wanted to capture that, and he had sent a powerful expedition under his able son Aurangzeb, but it was not a success as Persians had superior battling techniques. Okay, so they were superior in their warfare tactics, and so they could not capture Kandahar. And so overall, Balkh and Badakhshan's and Kandahar's conquest was basically a failure, where he wanted to capture Samarkand because it was the capital where he had his ancestors staying. That means Timur was from Samarkand. So basically, the Northwest policy was a failure. Then coming on to relation with European traders. Now we remember that Europeans had come as trading units at the time of Jahangir. They continued doing so. Let's read about them during Shah Jahan's reign. The European traders were merely looked upon as traders by the Mughal rulers. They established numerous trading outposts in different parts of the empire. When Shah Jahan came to know that the Portuguese were extracting duty from Indian traders, he attacked and defeated the Portuguese and seized Hooghly. He made them trade on his own terms. In 1657-58, there was a conflict amongst Shah Jahan's sons over succession. Aurangzeb was victorious and his three brothers, including Dara Shikoh, were killed. Shah Jahan was imprisoned. So now they are telling you about the policies which he had with the Europeans. Now the Europeans came as trading units, they were trading, and the Mughal Empire was working efficiently till they came to know that the Portuguese traders who were opening their ports anywhere and everywhere throughout the kingdom, he came to know gradually that these Portuguese, etc., these trading units were actually taking money, extracting duty from the Indians. That means those who lived there were paying the taxes. So now this made Shah Jahan very angry. And he went there, he took up a fight with the Portuguese and defeated them. And he seized Hooghly. Hooghly is in West Bengal, Calcutta area. Okay, you remember the Hooghly River bridges? So there, the Hooghly was seized and captured again. Then in the last paragraph, it is told that among all the other sons, it was Aurangzeb who was victorious. Please come to the class instead of sending me okay, ma'ams. Do not message anything right now, it pops up. If you have any problem regarding hearing the lesson or explanation or something, please open your mic and tell me instead of messaging because that gets disrupted and I don't even see the message. I'm involved in teaching. I'm looking in my book. I'm not looking at the messages. Only I'm wiping them off. So if you have any problem, please open your mic and tell me. So in 1657 and 58, there was a conflict among Shah Jahan's sons. And finally, it was Aurangzeb who was victorious, and he had three other brothers. One among them was Dara Shikoh, who was the eldest and was supposed to be the king after Shah Jahan. But then Aurangzeb killed him and took over the throne, and he also imprisoned his own father, Shah Jahan. So see the mentality at that time. Now we talk of the reign of Aurangzeb, the last Mughal ruler. Let's see. 1658 to 1707, Aurangzeb was the last great Mughal ruler. He ruled for 50 years till AD 1707. The reign of Aurangzeb witnessed many revolts. In North India, the revolt was limited to specific regions. Aurangzeb had increased the land tax to one half of the produce. Due to the high land tax, the Jat peasants of Agra Mathura region rebelled against him. The Satnamis and the Bundelas also revolted against Aurangzeb. Now, this paragraph holds a specific importance. Why? Because it is telling that unlike the other rulers, unlike the other Mughals, who were quite friendly with the people around. That means, like if you talk of Akbar, he was having friendly relations with the Rajputs, Jats, Sikhs, etc. But here comes Aurangzeb, and he was facing number of revolts at that time in the northern region. And why was it? Because he had increased the land tax. That means zameen par jo tax lagta tha, which was earlier much lesser, was increased to half of the produce. That means supposing a person held a small piece of land, so whatever he produced, supposing if he produced, say, 10 sugar canes, okay, 10. So out of those 10 sugar canes which he produced, he was supposed to give 5 to the king. That means whatever the peasants produced, half of it was to be given to the king. Now, this made them very sad and angry as well. And so the Jat peasants of Agra and Mathura, please underline these regions. Oh God. These regions, Agra and Mathura, they rebelled against him. Apart from this, the Satnamis and the Bundelas also revolted against Aurangzeb. Now we are coming on to the relations with Rajputs, Sikhs, and Marathas. The most powerful revolts were by the Rajputs, the Sikhs, and the Marathas. So we'll take first the Rajputs, then the Sikhs, and then the Marathas. Rajputs. Aurangzeb failed to realize the importance of the Rajputs whom the Mughals had befriended since the time of Akbar. Now, Aurangzeb's first mistake was he did not understand that the people whom earlier Mughals regarded as such important people, they were neglected by Aurangzeb. And one among them were the Rajputs. He knew, earlier Mughals knew that the Rajputs are very important and very powerful section. But here, Aurangzeb refused, he did not befriend them. After the death of Raja Jai Singh of Amber and Raja Jaswant Singh of Marwar, relations with the Rajputs began to deteriorate because of his orthodox religious policy. The Rajputs turned into bitter foes. Mughal intervention in the internal politics of Rathors of Mewar led to their rebellion. So now what happened was the most valorful people, the Rajputs, they were known for their bravery and valor. They were not they were left, they were not taken into account. And after the death of Raja Jai Singh of Amber and Raja Jaswant Singh of Marwar, the relations with the Rajputs deteriorated, and Aurangzeb did not take any account of being friends with them again. He was an orthodox religious man. That means he followed very strict religious policies. Since he was a Muslim, he promoted Muslim ideas only. Now, this made Rajputs feel very angry and deprived. And the earlier kings were born of, the Mughal rulers were also born of Rajput princesses, because the earlier Mughals had even married Rajput princesses. But here Aurangzeb, he gave up this and he was against, and the
अब
battle
ड्रॉर
began.
करो ड्रॉर करो ड्रॉर करो
Switch off your mic, and don't you understand that this is so bad that you keep joining and keep opening and keep disturbing? So it was the Rathors of Marwar, because of the Mughal intervention in their policies. It was a rebellion that the Rajputs stood against the Mughals. Then the second was the rebellions from the Sikh people. Now, the relations between the Mughals and the Sikhs were strained when Guru Arjan Dev was executed by Jahangir for helping Prince Khusro. When the 10th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur, protested against some measures of the emperor, he was arrested and brought to Delhi. He was given a choice between death or conversion. Guru Tegh Bahadur refused to convert. His martyrdom forced the Sikhs to avenge his death. Guru Gobind Singh organized the Sikhs into a militant force called the Khalsa. There were violent conflicts between the Khalsa and the Mughals. After Aurangzeb's death, the Sikhs were able to establish their own empire. So now here they are talking of Guru Arjan Dev. He was executed by Jahangir. Executed means he was checked by Jahangir. He was forced to, you know, punishment by Jahangir. Why? Because he had helped Prince Khusro. So later on, the 10th Guru, Tegh Bahadur, he protested. He was against this punishing and all that. So he protested. Now, to this, what they did was the Mughals, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, he brought him as a prisoner and asked him, okay, you will be sentenced to death and you could only be saved if you convert into our religion. That means he wanted the Sikh Guru Tegh Bahadur to convert into a Muslim. So to this Guru Tegh Bahadur, he refused to convert and later on he was killed. So his killing was taken as a martyr. He was considered as a martyr. Martyr means shaheed. Okay. So Guru Gobind Singh then organized the Khalsa, a fighting group, a militant group where they could take up a fight, and there were violent conflicts between the Khalsa and the Mughals. And it was only after the death of Aurangzeb that finally the Sikhs proclaimed themselves as the individuals and established their own empire. Now we talk of the Marathas who were also troubling him from the Deccan side. Aurangzeb was getting apprehensive about the growing power of Shivaji, so he sent Shaista Khan to fight against him. Please underline the name Shaista Khan. He was sent to look after the Deccan campaign. And since Aurangzeb was scared of the policies of the Marathas, especially Shivaji, so he wanted to keep a check. So he sent Shaista Khan, his able general, to take up a fight. Shivaji, disguised as a marriage party with 400 soldiers, stormed the camp and took everyone by surprise. Shaista Khan barely managed to escape and his army was defeated. Next, Aurangzeb sent Raja Jai Singh to capture Shivaji and bring him to Agra. The fort of Purandhar was besieged. Shivaji was captured. He was not treated with honor and was about to leave the court when he was arrested. He was put in prison, but he managed to escape in a basket of fruits. Aurangzeb failed to recapture Shivaji. Now, this is a dramatic story which you must have read maybe about Shivaji. He was a man, he was a Maratha king and a very powerful person. He was a great fighter, great administrator, and he was ruling the area which is now called Maharashtra area. Okay. So now, since Aurangzeb wanted to check him, he had sent Shaista Khan, who was later on mm, taken by surprise because Shivaji, disguised as a marriage party, मतलब कि शादी की बारात लेकर के जा रही है ऐसी पार्टी, he tried to show whereas there were 400 soldiers who attacked the camp of Shaista Khan and taken them by surprise. So, and it was Shaista Khan who was barely able to manage otherwise to escape, otherwise he would have been killed. So next, what Aurangzeb did was he sent Raja Jaisingh of Amber to capture Shivaji. Now, Raja Jaisingh of Amber, Kushi, you can't see, child. I just now read. You should have opened your mic and told me. Okay, check now. Can you see? Kushi, can you see now?
No, ma'am.
Others, are you able to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Let me try once more then. Okay, can you? Otherwise, Betty, do one thing. Open your book and read it from there. We are
Yes,
on the
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
paragraph.
Now we can see.
Okay, thank you. So it was at the port of Purandhar where Raja Jaisingh of Amber captured Shivaji and
Ma'am,
brought him to. Yes.
ma'am, sorry to disturb, but ma'am, in the book it is written when the 10th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur. But Guru Tegh Bahadur was the ninth Guru. The 10th Guru was Guru Gobind Singh.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay, so make a change here. Make a change here nine right now.
क्लास नहीं
And
चल रही थी
ninth Guru.
तो क्या
Okay.
चल रही थी ये बाहर ज्वाइन कॉल कहाँ दिखा है अरे दो दो कॉल है ना चेक
So
चेक हटा जरा उधर से
10th, it is the ninth Guru. Okay, Tegh Bahadur. Is it now okay, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it was in the at fort of Purandhar where Shivaji was captured. He was taken as a prisoner to the court of Aurangzeb, and there, uh, while they were discussing, Shivaji did not like certain points, and he was wanting to leave the court of Aurangzeb when he was arrested and he was put into prison. But later on, Shivaji somehow was able to escape in a fruit basket. There was a huge basket. He took out all the fruits, sorry, and himself, he placed himself inside that basket and somehow managed to escape from the fruit basket. Then after that, Aurangzeb was never ever able to capture him, was never ever able to lay hands on him. Is this much clear? Campaign against Deccan Sultans. After suppressing Prince Akbar's rebellion, Aurangzeb sent what? After suppressing Prince Akbar's rebellion, Aurangzeb sent armies against the Deccan, sorry, sent his army against the Deccan sultans. Bijapur was annexed in 1685 and Golconda in 1687. Please underline these dates. And here, when we are talking of Akbar, it is his uh, uh, what is it successor? Okay, not the earlier Akbar we were talking of. No, but I did not hear about Akbar as a next Prince Akbar. Children, we will check which Akbar they are talking of. Okay, it is after Aurangzeb, somebody. Okay, the Deccan Sultans. So Bijapur was kept a check. It was annexed in 1685, then Golconda in 1687. From 1698, Aurangzeb personally managed campaigns in the Deccan against the Marathas, who started guerrilla warfare. In the northeast, the Ahoms were defeated in 1663 but rebelled again in 1680s. Please remember these dates. This would these could come as your answers, one word answers. There we are telling the dates when Bijapur in the Deccan was annexed, after that Golconda. Then in 1698, Aurangzeb had personally went and looked into the affairs of the Marathas. He wanted to keep a check on them, but the Marathas they continued following guerrilla warfare. You know what guerrilla warfare is? Disguising and then not having a proper army facing another army, but disguising and attacking in a by hiding and then coming forward and then again hiding and playing hide and seek while fighting. That was the guerrilla tactic. Okay, guerrilla warfare it was. And then in the northeast, the Ahoms were a constant threat. They were in 1663 defeated. Then, but they rose again in rebellion in 1680. Death of Aurangzeb. When Aurangzeb died in
Ma'am,
AD, yes, child,
ma'am,
yes.
when in starting you said Bijapur was annexed in 1685, but in our book it is written 1686.
Okay, follow what your book says. Supposing in the exam, I give you this heading that according to, sorry, if I say that Aurangzeb captured yeah annexed Bijapur in which year? If you write 1685, if you write 1686, I will be marking both of them correct. Clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Clear? Mhm.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Other than that, supposing there is any after the paper is over, before checking the paper, I'll make sure I'll discuss the answers with you all so that I know that whether anything is written different in my book and your book. And you are always free to answer me back, ki ma'am, see, this is what is written in my book, so you cannot mark me wrong. Okay, you can check me. Clear, child? So, before checking the bundle of your class or for that matter any other classes, I'll be definitely first consulting and we will be discussing all the answers from beginning till end. Okay, so don't worry about that. So after the death, Aurangzeb died in 1707. Mughal Empire was on the verge of disintegration. That means it was on the verge of breaking down. His campaigns in the Deccan had emptied the royal treasury. Now, since he was continuously attacking and keeping a check on the Deccan, it had emptied the royal treasury. His long stay in Deccan had given rise to many revolts in the north. Now, since most of the time Aurangzeb was in the Deccan, so the northern kingdoms started rising as individuals. Growth in trade and commerce had led to the emergence of new groups in the Deccan. These groups showed their loyalty to the regional powers. Now, trade and commerce had developed because he was settled more often in Deccan, but those traders, etc., they showed their loyalty not to Aurangzeb but to the regional powers who were residing there. Aurangzeb was a staunch Sunni Muslim. That means he was a strict follower of Sunni religion Muslim. Uh, he lived uh, he lived a very simple life. That is why he was popularly called the Zinda Peer or the living saint. Now, in spite of being a king, Aurangzeb's policy was he lived a very simple life. In spite of being a king, he was known as Zinda Peer, मतलब जीता हुआ फकीर जिसे कहते हैं जीता हुआ जिंदा फकीर. Okay, so Peer is the living saint. He imprisoned jizya, sorry, he reimposed jizya. That was the tax which was the non-Muslims had to pay. Okay, and so he reimposed it. Earlier Akbar had finished that jizya tax and he had treated Hindus as well as the Muslims equally. But Aurangzeb, since he was a staunch Sunni Muslim, he agreed reimposing jizya. Now, gradually the policies of Aurangzeb pushed the empire towards decline. And it was because of these emptying of the treasury, Deccan growing in revolt, paying their tributes to the traders were more interested in the Deccan regional kings than to uh, give their patronage to Aurangzeb. Then the northern kingdoms also rose because most of the time Aurangzeb was in the Deccan area. Then, apart from all this, he being reimposing jizya had uh, unfriended most of the Hindu rulers. He had continuous fights with the Rajputs, Sikhs, and Marathas. Then gradually the treasury was getting emptied. So all this led to the downfall of the Mughal Empire. And after Aurangzeb, the rulers who came were the weak Muslim rulers, and gradually the British came over and they took up. So we stop here for today. We'll continue tomorrow.
Ma'am,
Sorry,
ma'am,
we'll continue. Yes,
ma'am,
yes,
what is
child.
the meaning of, ma'am, what is the meaning of tasting it?